Looking professional and beautiful. Okay. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Nightmare Road. I, of course, am one of your hosts, Decon. We have special guests. Didn't see you there. People from Render the Darkness. But I am here with my co host, the very brown Laura Sludge. And we have a couple of guests. All right. They have a show. You guys should go check it out. I just watched one on Maine where this guy went and he stayed with people that gave him kindness, and then he ends up like beating him to death, and he stabbed you. It was a fucking mess, And you guys mentioned Stephen King. It was a pretty entertaining episode, very informative. But enough of that. Let's introduce the guests. Here we have Fallon from Render the Darkness.
Hello.
With the sidekick that we don't know if we don't even know who's in charge here, but I'm gonna call you K-Sir because it sounds like more dangerous.
Okay.
K-Sir from Render the Darkness podcast. And it's gonna be a great show. I could feel it because I drank a little. So but here we go. All right. All right, so I'm gonna ask you people the question: what made you decide to start a podcast?
Would you like to answer? You want me? Okay. For us, we grew up around a lot of paranormal things, and I always wanted to be a criminal investigator when I was younger. So I just have like a natural curiosity for true crime. So we just kind of combined those two, along with the fact that we both grew up learning about and being told about a lot of different kinds of cryptids around the world. So we just kind of combined all of that together and thought, everybody else is doing it. Let's give it a try and see what happens.
Yeah. What about you?
Well, me, I'm more into the paranormal and the cryptid aspect of it. I just really think they're really interesting. I'd really like to get to know more about them in more detail. So I was like, start researching more and see, if there's like any actual sightings and videos and pictures and, just kind of get into it like that.
Oh, okay. Damn. See, that makes perfect sense. You have somebody that's more, inclined towards the true crime stuff and somebody else that's more towards the paranormal and cryptid. It's kind of like our combination here, like Slasher over here, hence the name, is more into the true crime, and I'm more into like I guess more into like the delicious things in life, hence the name, the sweet heat. I just like it all,
Mm-hmm.
But it's so interesting because I believe that you can watch 5 different podcasts of, let's say, true crime and Ed Gein, or whatever the hell you want to watch, and people have such a different style that I believe you can watch 5 in a row and you're not like, oh fuck, not this, Ed Gein again, because people just have their different way of doing it. But also, if you have a podcast, you're like, man, I would have talked about this, or I could have done it better, or you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. I think we kind of have the opposite for ourselves because we're our worst critics, I think. And so, we try really hard to do cases that aren't frequently covered. But of course, with the amount of true crime podcasts that exist, that's almost impossible nowadays.
Yeah.
But we'll do a case and then we'll hear somebody else cover it after the fact that, maybe we came across a podcast about it during our research on it. And we're like, okay, when we're done, we're going to listen to that. And then we will. And then, we kind of compare it against ours in the opposite way, as far as like, oh man, I wish I had done it that way. I wish I had thought about saying that. I wish I had included that information.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's a thing too. That's another aspect of it, because I don't know if you guys know this, but I fucking hate myself. So So I never So I never rewatch unless something funny happens or I absolutely have to. I won't listen to the show or rewatch it, because I feel like oh, there he is, fucking idiot, like everybody. And then I get really self-conscious about like when I'm talking, it doesn't matter like what it's, you know, we could be talking about the lady in white that wanders the back roads, you know, and I'm over there trying to watch like what I'm saying. And I'm saying is the whole audience out there knows that you have low self-esteem and that your mom told you that you're never gonna amount to anything, you know. So then I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna watch this fucking show. So I don't do that, but I have both things, you know, like they should have said this. I think I could, but then you're like, fuck, I shouldn't have said that. Or just like today, like just right now, I'm revealing a lot of things about myself that I'm not gonna be able to watch because my mom watches. So now everybody knows, you know, how much you've hurt me as a child.
You want to move on from that part?
Yeah, let's move on.
Well, I was going to say that I have watched a couple of your episodes. The last one that was the EVP one.
Yeah.
And I actually think, you know, y'all are pretty funny. I mean, just the way you kind of start in, you're kind of like a deep, serious, then you're just like, well, let's just go ahead into it, and you just kind of get into it, you know. I mean, I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I say that to my mom, you know, she'd be like, no, it's usted sabe lo que me hizo, vieja. Usted cómo me maltrató. So it anyway, yeah, it's just I don't know. Like I love this topic, both topics, you know, true crime and cryptids is one thing that not a lot of people like to talk about because they're number one, it's very complicated because you really don't know, you know, and you're basing it off of, you know, incomplete data, but also you have this feeling like fuck, like I'm gonna look like an idiot because I don't know enough because you can never know enough. Like for example, when you look at a cryptid like what is it, Mokele Mbembe in Africa, the he's supposed to be like a brontosaurus from the swamps, you know, and you guys have anyway, so it's a cryptid.
So a lot of cryptid I've never heard of.
So supposedly it kills a hippopotamus, you know, or hippopotami, or hippopotamuses, however the hell you say it. And you know, it's very aggressive. And the description that was given was that it had like a long neck, it has scales, and it looks like a giant reptile. You know, it chews up trees. It's a dinosaur. The drawings that people have. You know, and a lot of explorers have traveled to that location to try to find it. And they're going off of like different stories because different tribes have different backstories of what it is. So a lot of people, when they get back and from these experts, they don't like to talk too much about it because there's so many conflicting stories that they just stick to the very basic. And they're like, you know, and there's no way for you to say like, I know the real thing, you know, because it's a crypt. You don't even know it exists. You know, so I feel like people out there in podcast, they each have like their own view, but don't like to cover it extensively because they also begin to feel like, well, fuck, like somebody else is going to disagree with me. So because in the end, you can't really know. So.
See, that's why I like true crime because it's just facts, you know. I think I've told you this before. Like I like just knowing.
Yeah,
for the majority of the cases, at least.
But unless they're on the payroll, and then you get like a Chris Benoit case where like, was he in the bedroom or was he in the garage? Like, where did they find her? She was at the neighbor's house? No, she wasn't. You know, and then you get 5 different police. So, and I'm gonna ask you guys, what's your favorite? See that even that sounds fucking dark. What's your what's your favorite murder?
Most interesting, we'll say.
No, I'm gonna say favorite.
For me personally, and I will never, ever, ever cover it on the podcast, but for me personally, my one true crime case that I would say I'm absolutely obsessed with, and I watch everything on it that I come across, is the Chris Watts case, the Shanann Watts, and you know, Bella and Celeste and Nico, and you know, that whole case it just you know, when it first happened, it kept me up at night. And I didn't even know them. I just followed Shanann on, you know, the internet before it happened and seen some videos prior to that happening. So, you know, I didn't know her personally, obviously, but, you know, whenever you do follow somebody on the internet, you do kind of start to feel like you're connected to that person somehow. So whenever you know, because I was really into the Thrive thing at the time. But anyway, so for me personally, that would be my case probably that I've hung on to the most.
It was a crazy one. Like there were so many things that made it very obvious that he did it, but there were so many people that were against saying that he was the one that, had murdered all of them. Like, I don't know how they saw anything, other than, yes, he did it, but I guess it's kind of like those like women that become obsessed with, men that are in prison, serial killers and all this thing. Like, that's what happened. Just because he was like a semi-attractive guy, they just like flocked to, like, no, he's innocent. He looks like such a nice person. But
well, and there's such a deep psychosis there too, because if you look at his parents and how they reacted to the whole thing, like it's almost as if they just acted like the grandchildren didn't even exist to begin with, so they weren't affected by their passing at all, and they were just hell bent on supporting him no matter what, because they hated her so deeply. And so you look at the psychosis behind that, and there's just a lot more in depth to that case than I think anybody has ever actually covered, because nobody was behind the scenes to that. But I mean, if you really just put those strings together, it creates this just net of just things that I don't think will ever be revealed or unraveled.
Yeah, it's so weird. So what's weird is they were a weird family. Like the dad was weird, the mom was weird. I mean, the mom, she was like on the thing and she had like stickers all over her face, and she's like talking about all these things. Then the guy was like, you see videos of him like with the kids, and and he was like very like like, oh, and he like picking them up and like loving on them, like really help, but like kept looking at the camera, and it was like, are you like really like this, or is this like all for show? Like, what is going on? So then when he ended up killing the girls, like it's so fucking brutal. Like you look at him like, how can you do this? Like how can you have or show that affection towards your children on camera, and then you go ahead and do it this way? There was no fucking mercy in it at all. Like one at a time. Okay, now she's dead. Now it's your turn. And then the way that he disposed of the bodies is kind of like what the fuck, And it's so dark. And I don't like to think about stuff like that because it like does something to me where I focus too much on it, and then it just I don't know, it puts me in a weird place. So it's those kind of cases where if these things did not come to light, it's almost like you don't want to believe that human beings are capable of doing these kind of things, And it wasn't even like and I'm not justifying any type of crime or anything like that, but there's some instances where, like, I'm gonna use Hulk Hogan as an example. All right, so Hulk Hogan, when his wife, left him and she cheated on him and she left him for the pool boy that he hired because he wanted to give this young guy an opportunity, and then like she ends up like banging this pool boy and she leaves him for him. He was like, well, let me tell you something, brother. Oh, if I could see why OJ killed his wife, and he said that, and but then part of you is kind of like, as sick as that is, I guess I can see where I'm not condoning it, but I could see somebody like that, how badly they were hurt. Be like, I guess if you have that kind of mindset where, you're hell bent on vengeance, but these are your children, little girls, that's, they love you, and then they see you as this thing and you're willing to do that over a chick. You know what I mean? Like, it's so fucking dark. And even without the murder, the thing that's interesting is the interrogation. Like when they interrogated the girl, and then you really get to see how much of a sociopath she was, because she was like, oh yeah, those poor girls, I can't stop. You think people at work will know about this? No, I can't believe he did that to those little girls. Am I gonna be on TV? Like, oh, is there a way for me not to? It's like, did you forget that he killed his daughters over you?
Yeah.
And it's just, and that's the mystery of this whole case. It's like, did he do it like for her? Did she tell him? Did she help him? Like, what's going, like, you know what I mean?
I think there's a lot of different theories on that. And then, with this case too, there's also a certain level of the paranormal attachment to it. There's also that body cam footage from the crime scene where you can clearly hear a little girl in that video.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. What in the world was that? Wow.
So so there's your attic access right there.
So, you kind of get a combination of the true crime aspect of it and the paranormal aspect of it, which really opens the door of, do spirits linger? Is that what was happening? Is it because of the way they, there's a lot of questions that this case for me just leave unanswered. And I think that that's part of where my personal, I don't want to say infatuation, because that sounds terrible to say about a true crime case, but
sick.
I guess my focus on it so heavily is just because of all the questions I have that'll never be answered.
Yeah, that's nuts. And it's almost like people are not focusing on the right thing.
It's hard with cases like that where, like he killed everybody. Like you can't ask anyone anything. There's nobody to ask. He took everyone. Like it's true. Like it's hard, like because he can be lying, the entire time the way that he did in the interrogation, like she did this to them. And then, that's why I did it to her. Obviously they sort of fed that to him by accident and he just kind of ran with it. But, it's harder for cases like that where, they do something like that and they can't ask the little girl. They can't ask anybody anything. Nobody knew anything about them. Apparently, like, aside from whatever she put online, they were kind of private with financial or marriage things. And it's so weird.
It makes me kind of wish that, you guys remember that fraud, Sylvia Brown?
Yes. I remember Sylvia Brown.
It kind of makes me, it kind of like makes me wish sometimes that she was still around, because she probably would have been on that case. And she's like, I'm going to talk to the children. Like, what are you doing, Sylvia Brown? And I will say this, I wasn't a believer in her stuff, but a small part of me is like, what if she's onto something? You know what I mean? like at no point, because they exhausted like all the leads and everything. They're like, well, fuck, like we got nothing to go off of. No one in that place, like no one at all was like, what if we put a tape recorder and then we ask questions? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like just try something, even if it's for your own peace of mind, And those places like where a murder occurs is, they try to fucking resell those homes, and it's just so dark to think, like, as a real estate guy, that's got to be a tough fucking job. Imagine if somebody's putting a house up for sale, the state is like, all right, we're done investigating. Now this house can go up on the market, and then it's your fucking job, and you're like, which house? The house where the fucking 8 people were murdered. You're like, oh shit. And then you have to work with it. You're like, hey, if you come here, look at this spacious kitchen. This house is so big, you can shoot everybody eating breakfast, and the people upstairs will never hear you. Like what do you do with that?
Well, that's when you go, this house is $1. And they're like, despite those 8 murders, I can't beat that price. I'll take it.
$1.
Yeah, I mean,
that's how you get that one guy coming in. Yeah, hey Aaron, I'll take this house, and okay, can we get a semi truck to put a chain and drag it to Vegas? I'm being affected, like fall on the ground, and just. So, have any of you guys ever experienced anything paranormal? You know where this is going to. Look at Slasher. She's like, oh, okay, here we go. Experience it. Probably the voice doesn't help either. Experienced anything paranormal?
You just become the movie guy? You're the movie narrator?
What?
You just become the movie narrator guy?
One man this summer, Arnold Schwarzenegger is not taking any shit anymore. One mission, one restaurant. This summer.
You know who you sound like when you do that? I don't know if you've ever heard of him, but Pablo Francisco.
Yeah, he did a lot of those. I saw him on a show where, I forget the movie guy's name, the actual guy that did the movie stuff, and I guess he ended up dying. So I guess some of his jobs consisted of him doing the voice so close that they're like, well, this guy's dead, but you sound close enough to him. Can you do some movie stuff? And, he's like, this summer,
He really did.
But getting back to the serious topic, because this is a very serious show. Have any of you guys ever experienced anything paranormal?
Well, we're sisters, so we share a lot of the same stories. So I'm going to let Fallon take over on this one since I kind of jumped in on the true crime question.
Oh, no, you're fine. I kind of assume that you're probably going to go back to, like whenever we were younger. But I was going to actually talk about the Eureka Spring one, our most recent.
Mm-hmm.
So it was, when did we go?
July.
Okay. Yeah, we went to Eureka Springs, went to the Crescent Hotel, and we tried to get Michael's room, but because it's the most haunted and has the most activity, we couldn't get it. So we got the Adora's room, which is the second most haunted. And anyway, so the first night we went in there, we set up my cell phone to record all night. And where the bed is, like whenever you walk through the door, if you take a right, there's like a TV here, and then there's a bed, and then there's another door. Well, that door used to be the actual door to get into the room. And anyway, it was sealed shut. And her daughter, my niece, wanted to stay in the same room with us, so just in case she could see something. And so we got a rollaway. We put it right in front of that door. So we went to sleep, and you could see like the foot of the bed. And I can't exactly remember what time it was, but it was probably around 3:30 in the morning, something like that. Anyway, you could see something kind of like floating by the bed. And like my husband moves, and then it just goes like this and goes like this.
Oh, shit. Did it have a shape, or was it just...
To me, it kind of looked like a person like holding like a lantern almost.
Oh,
But
okay.
like it's on our YouTube shorts. If you go on our channel, you can see our shorts. I think it's like we got 2 shorts. And that's what
Watch them both. You'll get it. One or the other.
Yeah, just keep at it.
But yeah, that one was really cool because I mean, like I said, next time we're gonna go and we're gonna really try to get Michael's room because that one, like I said, has the most activity, especially if you're a woman. So like he likes to open the curtain of the shower.
So he's a pervert.
Oh, he's a pervert.
Yeah, geez Louise. I've always wondered that. Is there just like a ghost out there? It's just a perv, And it depends. Like if a guy goes in there and tries to talk to him, like, is anybody here? And he's like, get out, But if a girl goes over there, he's like, hi. It's just like, did you fall from heaven? It's like, what the fuck kind of EVP is this?
You think that's the thing? Like if the ghost was like a perv, you think there's more activity when women are in the room? Like they're more, I guess, like likely to talk or something.
Yeah, if there's women in the room, have you ever seen a bunch of guys working, and they're working, right? And if a guy walks through, they're like, what the fuck is this? And they just like keep working. But then like when a girl's walking through, they start rolling up their sleeves and they're like, oh, holy shit.
Oh, yeah.
How heavy this shit is. And they start carrying, like, why are you carrying me? Like, put me down. Like, shut the fuck up. I wonder if it's the same thing with ghosts, like there's nothing, just like a scratch here, a little movement there, and then a woman steps in. He's like, all right, I gotta step up my fucking ghost game. Gives himself
showing off.
Just start literally showing off. Be careful, don't trip over my... Anyway, so and that's the thing with the paranormal. It's like, okay, I'm skeptical with a lot of things, right? I like to think that I'm a skeptic, but it's just so much fun, Like that whole thing is... What are you gonna say?
I think I'm more of a skeptic than you when it comes to like ghosts and things. Even though, I mean, like I've heard things in my house, I'm kind of always just like, oh, it's it's the wind, like whatever.
Is it going like, oh man, boy, these boxes are heavy?
Yeah, no, yeah, every day. Oh, insane. No, just I mean, like random noises, like footsteps or whatever upstairs. But I'm like, those are not footsteps. Something else. Who knows?
I do the same thing. A lot of it is, I wonder what it is. But like with me, like if I see something like the corner of my eye, and I'm always like, fuck, I'm really tired. I wonder what it is. Just try to rationalize it as much as possible,
Are you scared?
I ain't never scared, homie. No, it's one of those things where I try to override things with a lot of logic, especially because I'm a guy, like more logical. But I'm always like, it's got to be an explanation. It can't just be like, you know what I'm trying to say? And it has nothing to do with fear. I guess it has more to do with, I don't want to be ridiculous, and
So you let's say like ghosts or whatever, like in a house, you won't really believe in that, or you'll have a hard time, but you do believe in like Asiwanava and all that.
well, okay, with that, it's a cultural thing, right?
Mhm.
So I'm Salvadorian. My parents are Salvadorian, and it's a culture where if you don't believe in the paranormal, they see you as like somebody that's really, really stupid. They're like, you don't believe in ghosts? And they're like, you got to go get your head checked. It's the opposite of the United States, right? So here, like this person sees ghosts, and it's like, damn, what a psycho. How do they let this person keep their kids? In El Salvador, if you were to say like, oh, I don't believe in ghosts, or like, damn, what a psycho. How do they let that person keep their kids? It's just the complete opposite. So there's things in that culture, like for example, La Ciguanaba is a specter, and there's a whole story behind it. There's a couple different stories, but somebody that goes out there and she's a very beautiful woman until you get close, and then she has like the skull or like the face of a horse, and then she tries to either drive you crazy or she'll kill you, and I've experienced the specter like that, but it's things where I don't know if it's just like ingrained in me where I feel like I try not to believe, but I believe. Like if I go anywhere, like out here on a farm at nights, because I got to go check on the animals or whatever, of course I take a firearm, but I also take a machete just so I have something to bite down in case, and I know that you guys are looking at me like, what the fuck? So in El Salvador, this specter called La Ciguanaba, she kills men, she attacks young boys, she does all these things, and there's a couple of ways for you can't kill her, but you can get rid of her, or you can temporarily paralyze her. There's a lot of different methods. The most basic is you take your machete and you bite the spine of it, and when you do that, the sound of the metal and the sound of the teeth is supposed to like make her panic, and she'll flee. She'll flee away from you.
I can understand that.
Yeah. So yeah. So like when I go outside, I'm like, all right, this is ridiculous, because I have a rifle or something, but I can't forget the machete just in case.
Yeah, you still do it.
Yeah, I still do it. It's just with like you just said, like the house is haunted. That's fucking ridiculous. But be sure that you have things like rice in your pocket just in case I see one come. That's another method. If you take like seeds, rice, or anything. What's interesting to me is that I begin to put a lot of things together, because stop me if you've heard this before, but if you take seeds and you throw it at La Ciguanaba, she'll try to catch it, but in some stories, her hand is skeletal. So the seeds will go through her hands and she has to pick them up to count them. So she keeps picking them up, putting them on her hand to keep going through her hand, and and that gives you enough time to go away. And this is the same thing that they say about, in Romania, like if you're ever attacked by a vampire, you throw seeds, you throw coins, you throw whatever, because they have to stop and count, everything, and that gives you enough time to flee. If you look at something like for example, if you go to South Wales, if you're ever attacked by the man in the hat, you take, same thing, seeds, like mustard seeds, and you throw them, and then he stops, and then he counts. In China, if you're attacked by a type of a field demon, you do the same thing with rice. You throw the rice in the water, and then on the rice paddy you throw it, and then he stops and he's searching through the water because he has to count it. So to me, that's too many stories that are way too similar for them to just be like a coincidence, because these are stories that historically they had no interaction with each other. These stories have been around since before navigation, if you think about that. So there was really no way for them, like, oh man, I heard this story that if you go down, and you do, like, there was no interaction. So like, how is that possible, right? And it's very specific. It's not like it's similar. No, same reason. Throw it. They have to stop to count because they have OCD apparently. So sometimes I stay up just racking my brain trying to figure this out. Like, how the fuck is this? You know what you guys are now looking at me like I'm insane. I spend a long time thinking about this kind of shit. I'm like, how the fuck? Like, why? or the story of the hellhound. It's found in every culture in the world. You know, you're like, oh, talk to Scottish people. We have the hellhound, and the hellhound is, and then they tell you the story of what it is. It's got good hooves, and it tells you all these things, and I'm like, that sounds just like El Cadejo, a story in El Salvador about the black dog,
Mhm.
So it's just, I don't know, like that's where I stand on that. There's things that I want to get away from, but just culturally, it's ingrained in me. It might be in my DNA, that you just can't,
Yeah, I mean, like me, like the La Llorona, like I'm like that's ridiculous, I'm not gonna, but I won't get close to the water at night, like just in case, if there's something weird, I'm gonna go inside just in case. But I mean, do I think she's gonna come up and like drown me? No, but I'm gonna stay away just in case. You never know, she could.
Where are you guys at? Like, if you guys don't want to say, like, you don't have to give me an address, but like state wise or like region wise in the United States.
Arkansas.
Okay. Do you guys have any stories similar to that at all?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Fallon, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, jeez. This reminds me of.
We do. Yeah.
You guys ever watch wrestling?
Yes,
Yeah.
I used to.
Do you guys remember the Legion of Doom, Road Warrior Hawk and Animal?
Road Warrior, and
Road Warrior
Animal.
Hawk and then Animal, and they would do their promos, and they're like, "So tell us today, how are you guys gonna defeat, Money Inc. with Ted DiBiase and and then you have Animal. He's like, well, first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go here and we're gonna do it. Then he's like, tell him, Hawk, and then Hawk's like, well, this is what we're gonna do, and it's always they always tag team the interview, they always ended the same. They always ended with Road Warrior Animal saying, "Tell him, Hawk," and then Hawk always ended it with "Oh, what a rush," So that's what you ladies remind me of, It's like, what is it? I'm Fallon,
Well, I mean, I know that one of the big ones around here is, of course, Bigfoot.
Okay.
The Falk monster.
Wait, what's that?
It's Bigfoot.
Yeah, it's Bigfoot. It's just another name for it. It's out in Falk, Arkansas.
Oh, okay. Just like in places like Louisiana, they have the Rougarou, right?
Correct.
Yeah, the Rougarou. I don't know about here. That's real, boy.
Yep. Arkansas also has the hellhounds, aka the black dogs. We have, a lot of, I do a lot of the cryptid research, and that's one thing, like you were saying, that I think I've come across the most is it doesn't matter what part of the world I'm researching in or trying to find something in. There's always one that matches everywhere else. Always. There's so many different versions of the Loch Ness. There's so many different versions of Sasquatch. There's so many different versions of Bigfoot, and it's all cultural. Like there's differences in descriptions, sure, but they're essentially the same story in every part. So for me, I think that's where a lot of the fascination for us comes into play, is because, like you said, that can't be a coincidence that all of these stories are being told all over the world by different people, different cultures, different times, different settings, but with different descriptions. And regionally, that would be factually true, because even human beings are different in every different culture and region. We don't look the same. We don't act the same. Our cultures aren't the same. So, I would believe that would be the same for a cryptid that would be located, one that's located in Japan would probably not be the same physically as one located in America. I wouldn't think,
It's like a Bigfoot in Japan with a bowl cut.
I'm just saying, like they too have a Bigfoot version. Yeah. They have a Bigfoot story version of it with a different description of what we would describe our Bigfoot version as. So, for me, it's that, to me alone is proof that there's something out there. There's some kind of truth behind what's being told, because not all of these people all over the world through all these different time periods are making this up.
Yeah, that's a big thing too, because really like last year here, like you in that region you have La Llorona, right?
Mm-hmm.
In El Salvador there's La Ciguanaba. In places like Honduras they have La Sucia, and those are like similar enough. They're all surrounding a body of water. But then if you go places like Ireland, they have Jenny Green Teeth. you know, and like, what does Jenny Green Teeth do? Well, let me tell you the story. Like, what does she do? She lures you into the swamp where she lives, and if you get close enough, she'll grab your kids and she'll pull them in and she'll drown them. How did she drown them? Well, they say that she used to be a witch and she tried to flee the villagers. So she threw her kids in the river to get away, into the swamp, I mean, to get away, and her kids drowned. So now she goes around and every kid she hears, she thinks that it might be theirs. So she tries to pull them. And it's like, that's the story of like fucking Llorona. You know,
Yeah.
it's the other side of the world. You know, it's just, to me, it's like, what? Okay, here's my theory. Okay. This is my theory. Whenever I hear somebody say La Siguanaba, which translates to the, you know, Siguanaba is it's an old Indian word from the Pipil people. Sigua meaning woman, you know. So Nava meaning horrible. Her name used to be Sigua Wit, meaning beautiful woman. So I like to think that it's not la like the Siguanaba, but it's a Siguanaba, una Siguanaba. Like maybe it's a different type of like spirit that is formed by a very similar type of situation, and it can happen anywhere. It's just the same type of trauma creates this creature. Does that make any sense? So I'm thinking like,
Yeah.
what if it's a Siguanaba that we're seeing all around the world, just different location, different story, but the same emotion, the same trauma, the same type of anger creates this type of creature, you know?
Well, for me, in that theory, my personal opinion on that is that's all the more reason why these stories are so important to keep alive and to tell, because whether they're true or they're not true, the people who tell them full-heartedly believe that they are true, and it stems from something somewhere. So, you know, who am I to say that these people are wrong with what they believe, whether it was a created illusion or it was a real thing that they saw? I don't think it should be discredited either way, because whoever told the story about it believed that that is what they saw, that is what they experienced, and they're passing it along, I think, as a warning to other people to do with what they please. So and that's even, like I said, if it's a psychological thing that's creating these things, that's all the more reason to keep the stories going and keep them out there and keep them alive, because that may help somebody one day. One day they may be able to associate the psychology behind somebody seeing something like that and know that, okay, if this person sees this specific creature, they might be dealing with this kind of a problem. We can help them. You know?
Yeah, that's a really interesting thing, because when we look at the common denominator here on La Siguanaba, Jenny Green Tea, La Llorona, what is the main message here? Keep your kids away from fucking water. The kids, stay away from water. This thing's gonna drown you, you know. And growing up, that was a very legitimate thing. So La Siguanaba for us appeared near rivers, or she near like these drop points. She'll come in and she'll throw you down there. So as a kid, you're walking and you're like, oh shit, it's a barranco, it's a drop point there. So it's like, well, better back away. The last thing I need is La Siguanaba to drag me and hurl me over. So you stay away.
Yeah.
You know,
that may be stemmed from somebody who, you know, for all we know, somebody may have lost a child over that cliff, and their mind created that situation in order to cope with what happened. You know, for all we know, there's so many syndromes out there where, like, for example, you know, there's a syndrome out there. Can't really remember what it's called right now, and I know this is a sensitive topic to bring up, but when a woman miscarries a baby, there's a syndrome out there where she still believes she's pregnant. She still believes she's carried to full term. She still believes she had that baby, and they'll give her a baby. Yeah, it's something like that. So who knows what the mind does to protect yourself from the things that you experience and the traumas that you get tossed in your life, you know? So those stories, even though we may classify them as folklore or whatever, they may be stemmed from something. And like you said, you know, at the end of the day, regardless of what it was stemmed from, the message is still typically the same. Keep your kids out of the woods. Don't let them go in the woods alone. Keep your kids away from the water. So either way, there's still some kind of a positive message to get out there, regardless of how they surfaced.
Yeah, and also the more interesting part of it too is how it affects certain like Wendigos, right? The Wendigo is my favorite cryptid, you know, my favorite story. It's just, to me, it's fantastic, you know. But the lesson there is like, how do you become a Wendigo? You got to be extremely selfish, right? You have to be extremely selfish, very greedy, and to the point where if you have food available to you and you decide that, you know what, I'm just gonna save this food for later, but I can cannibalize somebody because I want to save my food. Immediately that turns you into a Wendigo. And then your ice, the ice forms into your heart, and now you'll forever hunger, and you're a creature that the more you eat, the hungrier you get, and it's painful, and you turn skeletal. And and it's a lesson there. It's like, dude, don't be fucking greedy. See, if you were not greedy, you wouldn't become a Wendigo. But the more interesting thing about that is, to Native Americans, they do well, except for the alcoholism. If you were to cannibalize somebody or become greedy, there's a condition called Wendigo psychosis, where this person believes himself to become a Wendigo, and it only affects Native Americans, even ones that haven't heard the story. If they're in a survival situation and they end up like eating somebody, but then they believe they become this monster. And even when they're caught, there was a case that happened in the early 1900s where this person couldn't even look himself in the mirror, couldn't look at himself in the mirror because he saw the monster, and he was freaking out, and he describes himself, and they're like, this guy is fucking insane. He believes that he's this thing. And eventually they chalked it down to, he believes he's a Wendigo, and then when you talk to tribes people, they'll warn you of that story. Like, oh yeah, if you're greedy and you're a piece of shit, you'll become a Wendigo. So it's another warning, right? Mm-hmm. But it's a specific type of psychosis that even with people that have never heard the story and they commit an atrocious crime, because later the story, depending on the tribe, adapted to, it doesn't necessarily have to be cannibalism. It has to be, if you hurt somebody that you care about out of selfishness, you slowly become a Wendigo. So these people that were already sick in the head and they ended up doing something, they believe they're becoming a monster. And they never use the word Wendigo because they've never heard it before, but they believe they became a monster, and they're like, okay, here we have another one for Wendigo psychosis. So it's almost like these type of stories, and this, like when I said that it's in the DNA, it could very literally be in the DNA, like, your ancestors, stuff like that, and then it passes on genetically, and you have now something in the very back of your head, just genetic memory, right? Mm-hmm. So I don't know. It's just this whole thing is just like, so here I go. I can go for days, but it's just this thing where you're like, fuck, like, how can you not find any of this interesting? Because there's just so much to unpack, and you can never find the end of it. You can try, but good luck. There's always more. There's always more trails that you can take, and that takes you down a different rabbit hole. Thank you, guys. I'll be here all night.
So I have a question for y'all. Going back to your EVP episodes, I know you did a celebrity one too, but like, what was y'all's favorite EVP that was captured?
So that was the Thursday show. The Thursday show is done with Ashley Oracle, and she's the paranormal. The Friday show is true crime. So the one that you watched was with me and Ashley Oracle, not with Laura Slasher. But my favorite EVP is it's so dark, probably because it's in a place where I've lived near, in my past, and it was one that was captured in an abandoned warehouse in Ogden, Utah, and they actually took this to Art Bell, where there used to be a source of water there. There was a pool in the 1920s. Eventually, they just put concrete over it. It just became a storage warehouse, right? It is used to store shit. So there was even no water going into the building, but the EVP it's so dark. I'm not saying that it's my favorite because it's so you hear somebody say, help me, like a child, like, help me. And then you hear like a deeper voice, and it's just like, you don't hear what he's saying. And then you begin to hear splashing, like the splashing of the water, and then help, and then the splash, and then everything just goes quiet. Help me. Help me. the last thing you hear in this EVP is just the water like sloshing, and then it just settles down, and that's the end of it. So when they asked him, like, were you near a body of water, he's like, there was no water going to this building. There was like no water at all. And the way they captured it is they set a microphone and they set a recorder, and they left, right, to go explore a different area. And then when they were going through their evidence, that's what they found. So I guess there might have been a story where a man actually drowned a child, and he was like a child killer, that was going through different towns because of the Union Station in Ogden, Utah. So this guy was like a train hopper. So he would hop on trains, and he was a killer, and he would find kids and just kill them. So it's just really, it's my favorite because it has two things. It has a voice, but it also has water, right? It has the element of water in it. And you're like, this is obviously a residual haunting. It's not intelligent. It's just a tape that's being played in the stone tape, right?
Yeah.
Over and over at this time. So it just like makes you think, like, fuck, like imagine if you have to relive this every day forever, and it's so dark because people that have analyzed it, they're like, well, maybe it was this, and it's too clear for it to just be somebody stepped on a wrapper of some kind, and that produced the voice "help me" several times, and maybe that you hear splashing of water, and you hear the coughing and the coughing up of water. It's really fun. It's really dark. So when you ask me what's my favorite EVP, it's probably got to be that one, because that one stumps a lot of people that don't believe in EVPs. They're like, it's all bullshit. And you're like, explain this. And then they're like, well, shit. Well, and they start doing mental gymnastics. Well, maybe somebody had water in a bottle near there. And it's like, oh, okay. What's your favorite?
Mine? I mean, I'm like really not, I don't search many of those things. So like anything that I've either heard or caught, I guess, has been just like in my house. There was one weird one where I was like trying to send an audio note. I didn't know that my earphones were connected and they were in my room. And so I came to like plug them back in, like turn them off, whatever. And when I listened back to the audio, it sounded like a couple voices like talking to each other. There's no TV on. I had sent it to you.
Yeah, I heard it.
I don't know what it was. I was just like, I don't know. Maybe there was a sweeper outside or something. I have no idea.
It sounded muffled, but it sounded like two people having a conversation. Mm-hmm. And the voices were obviously two people because the voices were different. It's just like, and that's what it sounded like. And there was no one. You were the only one in the house.
Yeah.
No TV, nothing there, and this was captured upstairs, and some people,
you can't really hear what it's saying at all. You can just hear that, like it's a voice and then the other voice. And then at some point
conversation
talking over each other. Like it was weird. I didn't want to do it again. But,
and that would have been my last night upstairs. I am not a paranormal fanatic at all. Fallon would have a tea party with ghosts if she can make it happen. Not me.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, so like my house is, so I've like heard things, like I hear footsteps upstairs all the time. Like if I'm in the kitchen or I'm in the living room, I can hear it like in the bedrooms upstairs. I've also heard and felt, like little like voices. One of them like hit my hair, like something that was, like passing. I can hear like footsteps coming up the stairs, like behind me sometimes. Like it's, you see, but like all these things, I'm like, no, it's not actually happening. It's just in my head, not real.
Like your hair is really long. She has like she has 3 feet of hair. So what were you doing? You were sitting in a chair and it felt like somebody slapped your hair.
Yeah, like it was like I had a ponytail, so it, like it felt like they just like kind of slapped it, and I was like, it can't be anybody. So I kind of just like turned and I'm like, well, like I don't know what that was. I'm like, maybe I just moved weird. But then I see things also like in the kitchen. going into like some of the bedrooms, there's a section there where like in the corner, like, you know, corner of your eye, you can see kind of like a shadowy figure, and it's always, you know, the same size, same exact spot. I've seen, you know, like what looks like, I thought it was like my niece that was passing by, because I just saw like the top of like a little kid's head. She ended up being, you know, not anywhere near where I saw her walking, so it wasn't her. But I don't know what's going on in here, but that's not my problem. I'm just gonna let them do what they're doing. They're not bothering me, so
Just go ahead and provoke them.
no.
Be like, for those of you, you're used to people running away from you, and I'm not gonna do it anymore. Aaron, hurry up, hit him with a bat. What's
One of my favorite shows, man.
No, my brother met them, and they're
Really?
nice people. Yeah, like, and I'll tell you the story real quick. So over in Ogden, Utah, they were a friend of ours is, you know, law enforcement, and he was like, and he called my brother, and he was like, hey man, Zach Baggins is out here outside the Union Station, you know, like you should quickly come over here. So he went over, and Zach Baggins, he has pictures, he had like super thick glasses, he looked like a hobo, he was wearing like cut off gloves. It was weird the way he was dressed, you know. He might as well have been like warming up his hands in a lit garbage can, you know, the way he was dressed. So, you know, my brother was a huge fan. You know, he's a huge fan. I was like, dude, that guy's kind of hokey, you know? So he was like, no, man, Zach Baggins. And so, anyway, so they were filming something, and they were taking a break. You know, they were taking a break, and he was like, hey, you know, can I get a picture with you guys? And he's like, yeah, bro, come over here, bro. You know, and he's like, yeah, come on. And they took pictures with him, and he's like, I got a cooler over there filled with Monster if you want some. He doesn't drink energy drinks, but he took it anyway because, you know, Zach Baggins offered it to him. He says Aaron was super nice, and Aaron like gave him a hug, and they were like taking pictures, you know, together. And then he said that he was like, yeah, are we ready? Are we ready? And the guy goes, yeah, you guys are clear. So he says, all right. So then he says that he watched Zach walk up the sidewalk, lay down on the sidewalk, like he laid there. And then Aaron was like, Zach, you know, and he's like, oh, I don't know what happened. And then he was like standing there like, what the fuck? So I told him like, so that's like when his mind was like, I was like, but I hold on to that. I don't have any ill feelings towards them because they were very kind to my little brother, you know. And the fact that he was like, hey bro, I'm thinking of, you know, like maybe buying something here, like a business or something, like, have you had any scary story? And then he, you know, he went off and they chatted for a little bit, and he was like, hey, want me to call you and you could talk to him? Like, I don't want to talk to him. So but anyway, they ended up taking pictures, and he said that they hung around for a while, you know, and they were super nice guys, you know. So I don't have any ill feelings towards him because of that. I don't give a shit, but he can go ahead and fake an exorcism for all I care. What's the wildest paranormal story? I'll tell one after you guys. What's the wildest paranormal stories that you guys have?
Okay, I can tell you a personal one, or we can tell you one that happened to both of us.
Tell him, Hawk.
Either
Both
one.
of us it is, Fallon. Go for it.
Go for it. I don't know which one you're talking about, so.
Well, any of the ones that happened when we were growing up.
I'm gonna have to go an extra 15 minutes because I like it.
All right. Okay. So
He's the talker. I'm sorry. I mean,
she's the tech person and I'm the communicator. So I am not tech savvy at all. She does. That's why if you're talking via email or text,
It's a nice
or
shirt.
anything like that.
Your shirt.
oh, yeah.
Oh,
Oh, that's badass. Where'd you? Is there a store really quick?
We ordered it. We had it made from, we got it off Amazon, didn't we? Had it made, custom made.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
We
to
had,
get,
like,
it was supposed to be a tester shirt so we could start selling merch on our website.
yeah.
But then nobody came to visit our website. So
Well, we'll post some links in the description where they can go find your stuff.
that's probably our most awful shared paranormal story. The ghostness of our website.
Wow, that story was scary.
Oh, it's
Like
great.
Ghostville over there.
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna say for our grandparents' house would probably be the most paranormal experiences we ever had. For me personally, I don't know if Fallon would agree.
I was gonna say the one in Gerst Ferry, but
Take it
I
away.
understand your about grandma and grandpa because I understand that.
You used to lock me in the bathroom of the haunted bathroom. Yeah.
Really, we got to go into that. Okay, let's tell you a story.
I feel like Jerry Springer now. Something is bothering me.
No, okay. So our grandparents' house, right before they purchased that, well, actually, I think they had already purchased it, but right before they moved into the house, the couple that were living in there, their names were Bill and Nadine. Long story short, Bill was a drunk. It was in the 60s, 70s. He was convinced that Nadine was cheating on him, so he went into the first room and he shot her, and then he went into the bathroom and he unalived himself. And then the house was pretty much haunted from that point forward, to the point where my grandpa, who does not believe in paranormal things at all, or didn't, rest his soul, but he had to move their bedroom from the first bedroom, which Nadine was unalived in, because he had so many experiences with her. And then the bathroom, I always knew that bathroom was haunted. Always. Even like from toddler to now, I'm 40 years old and I will not go in that. This psychopath up here is trying to get me to go do a live in this house with no lights on at night. She's out of her mind.
We will do it.
So the house, the bathroom, and the room that she got shot in had locks on the outside of the doors. So my lovely sister here and our oldest sister just thought it was the funniest thing to lock me inside this bathroom. I had very traumatic, horrible, horrible experiences in that bathroom.
How dare you?
I know.
I was a kid. I'm sorry.
How long ago was this? Last week.
How long would you stay in there? Or
till one of my grandparents would hear me screaming and come let me out.
Which wouldn't be very long because as soon as she went in there, she would start screaming.
Unless they taped my mouth shut, which happened a couple times. Misty taped my oldest sister taped my mouth shut a couple times, so I couldn't scream very loud.
I was gonna say I didn't do any of that.
Oh damn! I was about to say this feels like one of those cases where if you're suing her in front of Judge Judy, and then Judge Judy comes out and she's like, "Shut up, show me the receipts."
Yeah. Fallon, would you like to tell a Gerst Ferry story?
I can tell a short one. I mean, it's like the house that we used to live in whenever we were younger. It was our great grandparents' house. And our great grandmother died in the house. She died while she was laughing. And my mom is the only one, or our mom's the only one that didn't see anything in this place. I mean, but she's not really, she doesn't believe in any of this stuff. But I mean, we've seen our stepdad has seen a woman at the window, shutting the curtain if it was open, in the mornings. We've seen I guess just an entity that kind of we thought it was our mom because it was wearing a green robe that our mom would wear, but it wouldn't be her. I mean, just walking through the house and stuff. I mean, just kind of stuff like that. And then at night, sometimes if in our parents' bedroom, we look out the window, I've seen, I don't know if you have, but I've seen just bright red eyes.
Ooh.
So, I mean, it was definitely crazy. It was scary. And I wish we could go back to it because from what I'm told, the people that own it, they don't do anything with it. It's kind of overgrown right now. But I kind of wish I could get in contact with them to see if we could go because there's also a little shed on the side that our stepdad would really, he'd go in there a lot. And I wasn't in it for very, very often, sorry. But every time I'd walk by it, I'd get a really creeped out feeling. I don't know if you did or not whenever you were younger, but that whole property was just very creepy.
It was 5. Other than the very direct experiences, I don't really remember a whole lot.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be cool if you guys can do a throwback, get permission, go back in and then lock her in the bathroom and tape her mouth shut.
For old time's sake.
I'm going to request we don't do that.
Hey, no ideas out there, bro. Um, okay, you probably heard this story so many damn times. So as soon as I begin to tell the story, you'll be like, "This fucking story again."
All right, let's
Like,
see.
geez Louise. Okay, when I was a kid, you're like, "Yep, I've heard it."
Mhm.
So when I was a kid, my mom would babysit the neighbors' kids upstairs. They, well, her name was Blanca. Her name was Blanca. She was like in her early 20s. Um, and her husband, the father of her children, would come to, California like once a month. And then he'd show up from Mexico. He would pay my mom. He would give her anywhere from $300 to $500 and this was the 90s, you know. So to babysit the kids for like maybe 3 hours, 3 to 4 hours, they were gonna go dancing and probably, practice making other kids, and then he would go and then pick up the kids. I remember he used to wear like this big fucking belt buckle. He had like a cowboy hat, and he had on like these silk shirts. You know, I remember this is so stupid. I remember one time he got me and my older brother these silk shirts, and I would always like take them and bite them. Eventually, I ate the whole fucking shirt. Like I would bite it so much, that I had like holes everywhere. So I ate the fucking shirt. Anyway, so so one day we went to El Salvador with my mom, and my dad stayed behind. He was gonna go like a week later, to meet us over there. So, anyways, so we get back, and he was like, "Yeah, this whole fucking thing happened." Like, well, what happened? He says that, you know, there was helicopters, there were spotlight, everywhere, and the FBI came in, kicked in Blanca's door, grabbed her husband, and took him. He was a member of the cartel,
Oh,
and
shit.
yeah,
Sorry.
so he came in, and that's why he had like all this money all the time. So that happened, right? And so months later, we're back at home. We're in our apartment. This was like fuck. I have no idea. Maybe 2, 3 in the morning, and I just remember our door just boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 and just bang on the door, and then waking up. My dad's up. He's got the machete. He's at, what the hell's going on? So he opens the door, and Blanca comes in, and she's just can't even get the words out. She's like trying to talk, and she has I could live to be 100, but she had these like gashes from her arms all the way, up and then like across her back, and she was wearing these, and I always say this because it's like, so she was wearing like these like, do you remember the Daisy Dukes? Yeah, so she's wearing like Daisy Dukes, and looking back now, I was a kid, so I didn't think like this, but back then I was like, wow, she has really big legs, so she had like these really, and she had these deep like gashes, and there was like blood like running down, and she was trying to talk, and then finally my dad was like, ¿Qué pasa? What's going on? ¿Qué pasó? So then she said that she met up with an Indian, that was like a witch doctor. She was un brujo indio, and he ended up giving her like all kinds of spells, all kinds of charms, all kinds of things, so that she can summon this spirit to go and torment the people that had her husband be put in prison, but also to help him get released from prison. So she started summoning these spells, and she was acting like weird. She used to be like very bubbly and very nice and sunny. Then she became like very dark and very depressed, before this happened, right? And so anyway, so she comes in, and she said that this figure came through and immediately grabbed her and like pinned her up against like the kitchen, just began to like claw at her. So she was just clawed, and then she was wearing like this very tight like tank top. It was like showing us, and she had on a bra, but she like lifted up her shirt like to show us, and she had like these gashes just running down,
Dang.
so my dad was like, where are the kids? And they're upstairs still. She panicked and she ran out of there.
Oh, no.
So, so my dad's like, we're gonna have to go get the kids. So I went upstairs, to her apartment, and I went with them. I don't know why. maybe didn't notice that I was there, but I followed. You know, I followed them up there. My older brother got scared, so he was just like hiding in his bed. He's like, I'm not going up there. So we went up there to go get the kids, and the kids were asleep. You know, when this whole thing went down, there was asleep, but then her apartment was painted like red, and there was like weird symbols. There was candles everywhere, and I just remember my dad starts kicking over like all these like candles. They were not lit before you asked. He started kicking them over and like stomping on them. It was like these charms that some were made out of aluminum, some were made out of wood. He was grabbing them, he was like bending them and like destroying them. And so then she stayed downstairs for a couple nights until eventually she went back upstairs, and I remember she started packing up some of her things, and I never saw her again. You know, so,
Wait.
yeah, I wish we should do a follow up. Like, do you still wear those booty shorts even now? You're probably like in your 60s. But yeah, I just remember for the longest time I thought this guy, her husband, was her dad because of how much older he was, you know, than her. You know, I just remember like, oh, is that her dad? I'm like, no, that's her husband. I was like, what the fuck? Yeah, dude was probably like in his 50s, and she was like early 20s, you know, and she had kids that were like, her oldest was probably like 7, so obviously there was stuff going on, like, you know, while she was young, you know. So anyway, he was probably one of many, you know, how Hispanic men are, dirtbags, especially. Anyway, so that's my story. I have a lot, but that's the one that sticks out the most in my, because it's
Terrifying.
I like I wasn't scared. Like, no, I wasn't. It was almost like as long as my dad was present, I felt safe, you know, because he was like a no bullshit, you know, like, we'll take care of this, you know, type of individual. If my dad wasn't there and she came over, bum, 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 what happened? This fucking demonic entity clawed me up. I would have been like, damn it, he's coming for me next. You know, he's gonna make me wear these little shorts, and then he's gonna fuck me up. You know, but because my dad was there, I was just like, he'll handle it. Maybe I even thought that, like, my dad's gonna fuck up this demon. You know, like, I don't, like, just man, you know, childhood memories.
Oh, nice memories.
I have a lot of memories. And I talk sometimes about my dad, and people are like, when did he pass? I'm like, oh no, he's still alive. He's like 80, and I'm like, oh man, like I could beat you to death now. Just an observation. I don't mean that I don't have any ill will towards him at all. I'm just saying, I could if I wanted.
Okay.
I remind him every single time I see him. So that's it. Thank you guys for and really quick, there was a quick story when you guys said one of your grandparents died laughing. So have I ever told you the story, Slasher?
I don't know.
Okay, so one of my grandparents, my grandfather, he was very sick, and I remember he was on his deathbed, and we're all standing there with him, and everybody's there, you know, just standing and waiting, and he's just for a long time. It seemed like forever, and I fuck, how old was I? I could have been maybe 11 or 12, but we were standing there, and he's doing that for a really long time. So I look over at my dad, and I was like, you think if we put a pillow over his face, this will last longer, this will last shorter time? So he started laughing so hard he died. He just started laughing, and he starts coughing, and he's trying to laugh, and he's coughing, and then he died.
You killed your grandpa?
Apparently. I was like, oh, and there's that. So, and then and this is the kind of guy, I have another story about my dad, but this is the kind of guy my dad is. My dad's like, well, it's early enough, I can still go back to work. This is also the same guy that in El Salvador we had this we bought this house, and it had this big wall, because in El Salvador what you do is you build one side of the house where the patio is. There's like a really tall wall, and then in the concrete you break glass bottles so that no one can hop over. So he's painting this wall. It looks ugly as shit. He's painting it. My cousin is. My cousin says that he's painting this wall, and he was having a lot of stomach pains, right? So he had appendicitis. Ooh. So he's up in this thing, and then he grabs onto his side finally, and he's holding on, and he falls from the ladder. Falls just And then my dad runs out. He's looking at him, and then he's looking at us, and then he says, and I'm gonna translate it because you got to say it in Spanish first. He said, "La gran puta," and I was like, "Ahora nosotros vamos a tener que pintar esa pared." So that translates to "Holy shit!" And I said, "What?" And he says, "Now we're gonna have to paint that fucking wall."
Oh gosh.
So, yeah, I was a kid. I was of 9 maybe. So yeah, that was his reaction to my cousin Cesar, his nephew dying. It's kind of like, well, now we're gonna have to paint the wall because he's dead, and he was pissed off about it too. So anyway, so do you guys have anything to plug?
What's the channel? Yeah.
Any websites? We'll put a link in the description for you guys' stuff.
Oh, I appreciate that very much. But yeah, absolutely. Obviously, our podcast, Into the Darkness, you can find it on literally any social media platform that you might use. You can find it. We have it on video. We also have just audio for anywhere you can find your podcast through audio, Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, anything like that. Right now we've been doing a 50 state series. We just did Maine. So we're still rolling with that and trying to do cases in between the 50 states as well. So we're not staying exclusively in the United States. We're trying to travel the world while we do it. Trying to include everybody.
You guys should do like each show like with a theme from where you're at, and it's like today we are in Mexico, and then you have like a sombrero and like a bag of cocaine and an underage girl,
Oh my god, Jesus! What is that?
So we've just started trying to this year revamp it a little bit. It's just she and I who do the podcast. We don't have like a team or anything like that.
Sorry, it's
Are you okay? What
I'm
happened?
fine. I just thought about something. Sorry.
The cocaine?
So we just now started to incorporate, not necessarily, cocaine and things like that, but we are starting to incorporate images and things like that, state specific when we are doing a state case, and case specific. We actually just learned how to do that, so we just started doing it. Yay!
Oh, that's cool.
So that's new. Other than that, hopefully we're making some good improvements and growing the best that we know how to, with being just us, starting from the ground up, figuring it out as we go.
Moving on up.
And,
there's an inspirational song. I think it's a hymn.
Maybe.
Oh. Moving on up to the east side.
We really try to focus on doing cases and covering cases that, just like I said earlier, just aren't as frequently heard as others. Because every case is just as important as the other case, regardless of whether it got that publicity or it didn't. So, it's just a way to keep all that stuff relevant and out there, I guess.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's cool. All right, so we'll put a link to all you guys' stuff. It's a great show. I really enjoy it.
Well, thank you.
Oh shit, we got to plug our stuff too.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. This episode was brought to you by Loot by Lottie for all your witch needs. If you guys, anything that you guys want witch related, go on ahead and check out Loot by Lottie. Use the promo code Nightmare and get 15% off any box over $30. Also, that she's doing what is it? Like name your price or some shit.
Yeah, like make an offer thing.
Okay, I'll see if I can pay her marbles. I get all these marbles, like I choked on half of them. So that's I'm getting rid of them. So Loot by Lottie. So go ahead and check them out. Also brought to you by. They're on here, but I'm gonna say Render the Darkness. Check them out. Great show, great people. I enjoyed it. It's always fun. You guys can, if you guys homeschool, by the way. They're doing a 50 states type of thing so the kids can learn about geography. Just pop in an episode, and then like learn about that state. And then that's a great way to do it. It's kind of like Finding Carmen Sandiego, only where was Carmen murdered? Also brought to you by Shaun Burris, the Ghost Man. You guys know him. You love him. He was on A&E's Extreme Paranormal, all things spooky. And also he has his new show, Groceries and Ghosts, hopefully gets picked up for TV. I tell you that he's doing a TV thing soon, hopefully. So Groceries and Ghosts on the Shadow Nation podcast. Shaun Burris, that sexy motherfucker. And who else? Oh, Nate, right? Yeah, so Static Voices, go ahead and check him. What? At
I'm just waiting.
Paranormal Unveiled. You guys can, he has a book now, so you guys can go ahead and check out. It's called La Llorona and the Bigfoot Get Down and Dirty in the Woods for all your paranormal erotica. Check it. Also, what? That's the book.
Yeah, that's the book.
That's the book. Like, I talked to him and
have to put the picture in every time, just in case somebody.
I sent them a clip of me saying some shit like, "For all your paranormal erotica needs." He's like, "That's not what the book's about. Don't say that." so I'm like, "Yeah, did we read a different book? Like, I had this. It has pictures." Anyway, you're not wearing pants. What's going on? Anyway, also brought to you by another great friend of the show, Dreamscape Chronicles. Check them out on Spotify. They have a great series going on right now, so check them out. And our stuff. T Public, go ahead. I draw shit. Go look at it. Go get a mug. I might just put my face on one of them and just have me on a mug. You guys can mug me. And that's it. Get yourself the Laura Slasher series that actually turned out really fucking good. My brother ordered a mug, by the way, and then he was like, "You drew this?" And I go, "Yeah." It's fuck, like this whole time, So I was like, "Yeah, see, mom was wrong." So anyway, so that's about it, guys. So remember to always look both ways, especially if you find yourselves in the tombs of Road Warrior Hawk and Animal.
There we go.